All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, which is Graphic Design Basics and Presentations to Impress. First of all, before we start, I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar, and I'm pretty sure that we will all learn a lot today. Before anything else, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Midas Savior. I am part of the Disputes and Fraud team of Canva. I've been with Canva for almost 2 years now, but aside from that, what I do is I teach people how to use Canva to create designs and presentations. Now, enough about me. I want to get to know you guys as well. On the chat, can you type in where you guys are from and what do you do? Like, are you a teacher, a business owner, a student, maybe? Uh-huh. We have Mariam from Malaysia, teacher. Uh-huh. From the Philippines, yeah, Tagaytay. All right. I know you guys are excited, and thanks for commenting or answering my question. So let's start. What are we going to be talking about today? So this is a two-part webinar. First, we will be discussing about graphic design basics, and we will also discuss how you can incorporate that in creating an impressive or engaging presentation. We'll also discuss the importance of having an impactful presentation, also elements of an impressive presentation, and then later on at the end of the session, if time permits, we'll have a question and answer session. All right. So like what Jess mentioned, if you have any question during this webinar, you can type it in the Q&A box and she will respond to your question. And I have a very exciting news for you. So Jess is an awesome surprise for everyone that we'll be announcing at the end of the session. So stay tuned, guys. Now let's start. The first part of our webinar today will be graphic design basics. Are you guys excited? Because I am for sure. First, let's define graphic design. So what is graphic design? Graphic design is a craft where professionals create visual content to communicate messages, right? I know that not everyone here is a graphic design artist professional, and that's the good thing about Canva. You do not need to be a professional or a pro. We want to make designing easy for everyone because Canva's goal is to empower everyone to design. In creating a design, there are four elements that you need to consider. We have text, color, image, and layout, and we'll be discussing it one by one. Let's start with text. In creating a text design, it is really important that you choose the right font, correct? Because choosing the right font uh, will help you convey your message. It will help people to understand your design more. And it will also help you express what emotion you want your audience to feel. Because like what is said here, the best font choices are ones where the reader does not notice the font, but the message, right? Now, additional font tip. We now know that fonts convey a tone, right? Now, what can you say about these two fonts? You can type in your answer on the chat. So it says here, I will never leave you. The other one is spooky. Right. You guys are correct. So the first one, it says I will never leave you, but based on the font style or font that they use, it feels romantic, right? Well, the other one, it feels like someone is stalking you, like someone is haunting you. So imagine if someone will send you this. I mean, the second one, it will really creep you out, right? So they have the same words, but because of the fonts that they use, it implies a different message. As you can see, that's how important it is to choose the right fonts. Okay. So yeah, it's more of a threat, correct? Now, there we have two types of fonts. We have serif and sans serif. What's the difference? So the answer is simply in the name. So a serif, it is a decorative stroke that finishes off at the end of the letter stem. As you can see on the word serif itself, those that are marked red, like at the end, it's like a little feet at the end of the letter. So this. It is classic and traditional. That is why it's very common in print. While sans serif, from the name itself, sans, which means without in French. So basically, that means without serif. And it is very common in digital design because it is clean and modern and easy to read. That's why I suggest you use sans serif fonts for your virtual designs. Now, I know that choosing fonts might be overwhelming, especially like for those people who already tried Canva. In Canva, we have a lot of fonts in our library they can choose from, right? Also, especially if your design will have a lot of text on it. And at some point, you want to highlight some by using a different font than the other. What I would suggest, if you are not comfortable in font pairing or the mixing and matching of fonts, what you can do, or the safest way that you can do, is to stick with one main font family. What do I mean by that? So these are some of the examples of the font family. So we have, let's say, Railway Thin, we have Railway, and Railway Heavy. We're gonna have a little activity here. All right. So on the chat, Jess will send the link to your workbook. So try to just click on it, access it on your Canva account so that you could follow along. Like you could do what I'll be doing or what I'll be showing. Right. Let's go to activity. There. So the link is there. Just click it and then click on use as template so that you would have your own copy on your Canva account. All right. So our first activity here is definitely all about text. All right. So on your workbook, go to the third page. I'm gonna do a demo here. I'll be teaching you guys the two ways on how you could insert or create a text box in your Canva account or on your Canva canvas. First step will be by pressing letter T on your keyboard. All right, there. So this is the easiest way. So just press letter T, and then from there you could edit it. So drag it. Let's minimize it, and then there. So double click it if you want to change the text. So it says, let's say, good afternoon. All right. If you want to change the font, what you can do is to double click the text again. And then on the upper left side, you would see a lot of font types on our font list. So you could choose the fonts that you want to, depending on the design that you'll be creating. So let's say I'll go with Strikhand. All right, there. If you also want to change the font size, you could do that here. So yeah, pause my, or you could type it in directly here, there. And all the other settings are options that you can use to personalize your text. The second way of doing it is by going to the text tab on your side panel. So just click text. All right. As you can see, we mentioned earlier that if you're not really that familiar yet when it comes to font pairing, the mixing and matching of fonts, here in Canva, we want to make things easy for you. So we have already sets of font combinations that you can choose from. Let's say we'll be using this. Let's do the singles party there. There are different total of two different fonts here, or sorry, three different fonts. But then because of font pairing or font combination, they go well with each other. So same thing. You could select font combination here and then just double click it to edit it based on the design that you'll be creating. All right. Now, on your, let's go back to your activity book or your workbook. So on the fourth page, there are two different set of fonts that is shown there. So on the first one, as you can see on your screen, it says your graphic design. Now, what I want you to guys do is to correct this. All right. So what's wrong with this? First is that they use four different fonts which does not complement each other. So on your workbook, what you can do is to choose fonts that goes well with each other. So again, let's do the safest way of doing it. So the word graphic design, it's an Open Sans Extra. All right. What I would do for the name of their school or their club, I would also go with Open Sans font family. So just type Open Sans and then hold on, Open Sans. There, you would already see the font family under Open Sans. So what I would use for this is that I would go with Open Sans there, and then for beginners, I would be using Open Sans Lite, and then for this, I would go with Open Sans. Right. This looks better, right? Would you agree? Compared to the first time? All right, better. On the second one here, what's wrong with this is that same thing. They use two different fonts, but then the second font here, which has the name Angelo Brewing, it doesn't really complement the other font. So what I want you to do is to practice font pairing here. So instead of choosing the same font family, what you can do is to choose a font that goes well with the font that is used here, which is League Spartan. So let's double click that. Hold on. I would go with hold on there. So this looks better. Or hold on, I would use something like thin or yeah, there you go. So I would say that this has a better text contrast because the body itself called smooth and tasty. It's bold and the font size is like larger than the other. So what I would do on the name here, just to have a better text contrast, I would choose something that's thin, right? So it's better. I mean, yeah, it's one way of doing it by considering font contrast or text contrast. All right. Now let's go back to our slide. There. Aside from text, the other factor that you need to consider in in creating a graphic design is images. All right. Let's go back to our activity book. There. So second activity will be images. And then on the sixth slide, there. I'm going to show you how you could do that on Canva or in Canva. So first, adding fun elements in your design would actually, I mean, it is really important to make your design look appealing and it can easily catch the attention of your audience rather than having like a heavy text design where like let's admit it, a design with just text might look boring, right? Like it's not going to be, I mean, it will not look engaging or interactive to your audience. So what you can do is in Canva, you could add a picture of your favorite place. So for me, that's gonna be anywhere with beaches. So I would just type that in, click on photos on the side panel, and then just type beach. All right. As you can see, there are a lot of images that you can already use in our library. So I would go with this. You can adjust it. All right. You in creating a design, you could also add an illustration of your favorite animal. So this time, instead of pictures, I would go to elements. All right. So I'm more of a cat and a dog person. No judgment there. All right. So there, let's try for it. So by having images in your presentation, it will look like what I've said, appealing to your audience. Like it will look engaging as well. Or you could insert stickers for your stickers of your favorite event or any other stickers. So if you go to elements, as you can see, you would already see a lot of options there. So we have lines, we have shapes, frames, stickers. All right, so just click on see all. You would already see a lot of different stickers there. Sorry, my internet is slow. That's why all of it is not loading, but it should. So I love festivals. So let's say I'll go with fireworks. So just click that. Again, sorry for the slow internet, but it should be there. There. All right. Or you could upload your own picture. So for me to be able to do that, I would go or I would click upload on the side panel. You could upload media directly from your device, Facebook, Google Drive, Instagram, or Dropbox. Right. But for me, I already have a pre-uploaded picture, so I would use this. And that's me, by the way. That's why I love going to the beach. There. So would you agree that having fun elements or pictures in your design would make your design better? All right. Thank you. And I'm gonna show you another tip here when it comes to using elements in Canva. So we already selected elements here. So with Canva, like I told you, we have a lot of elements that you can choose from in our library, but it doesn't mean that you're stuck with what's in there. So the elements that we have, you could still personalize it. So let's say this OK element, just click it. After clicking it, you should be able to see color boxes. So let's say that you want to change it to orange. Oh, I don't know what color it is. Or just change it to pink, I would say. All right. And then change the border to black, right? Or let's say this French fries. I want to change it to something like pale. That's better, right? There you go. So I suggest doing it on your end as well so you can play around with it. Now let's go back to our slides. All right. So we're done with images. Now let's go to the third factor that you can consider in creating your designs, and that is colors. Now, a little quick activity here to again. So can you tell me what brand is this just by looking at the color? Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, so everyone knows this. Google. So if you typed in Google, you are correct. How about this one? Instagram. There are a lot of. All right. So yeah, you guys are correct. This is Instagram. See, that's how important color is, especially if you are creating a logo, because colors would actually define your brand. It would have a recall to your audience if you use like a specific set of colors in your brand, in your logo, right? Now, in creating a design, we do not want to overwhelm our audience with a lot of colors, right? Because that will be uneasy to the eyes or uneasy to look at, correct? So in creating a design, we have a rule when it comes to adding colors. So it should be 4 colors max. It should be one light, one dark, and two vibrant accents. How to do that? You could use this reference. So the first one, they use light white, and then black for dark, then light, dark, and accent, and then again light, dark, and accent. We now know that colors are important in creating a. I mean, it has their own message as well, especially if you're creating a brand logo. Now, colors also they have different meanings as well, so you need to consider them in selecting a color for your design. Let's say for color red, it is commonly used for designs that wants to give excitement or passion or importance. That's why red is commonly used in stop signs or hazards, right? You can take a screenshot for your reference too. There you go. So, having said all of this, if you are still not comfortable in choosing colors for your for your designs, I recommend going to canva.com on your browser. Type in canva.com/colors, and you should be able to see this. So in Canva itself, there's you can use this reference in choosing the right colors for your design. So in here, we have color palette generator. Let's say you have your own picture or you have your own photo, just upload it and automatically it would generate a color palette for you. So color palette, you can use that for your design. I mean, colors that you can use that goes well with the image that you'll be using on your design, right? So also a quick good to know here. Once you then generated the color palette, it will also generate a hex code. So just click on it, and then if you go to your Canva um, canvas, so let's say we want to change the color of the background here. Click on the color box again, and then just paste the hex code, and automatically that color will be on your library. So just click that, right there. And other than color palette generator, if you don't have an image, you could click on color palette ideas. So it will give you different palettes so you can choose from that goes well with your design, right? Also color wheel for different color combination that complements each other, or color meanings. This is one that I sent you, but this is more, it has detailed description on the colors, right? Now, let's go back to the last and the fourth factor that you need to consider in creating a design, and that is layout. So, layout is the overall look of your design. So it's like it could be the alignment of the text, image, or colors. Under layout, we have hierarchy, which leads the eye and creates the focus on your design. So again, it helps your audience to focus where to focus on your design. I'm gonna give you an example here. So let's say you have a text design. So please consider that your audience will read this first, depending on the font size that you want to highlight, and then they will read this, then this a bit, and then they will read this last. So this is the hierarchy of layout when it comes to creating text designs. And this is just based on research. So you can take a screenshot for your reference too. Now I'm gonna show you another example of hierarchy, and let me know what you think about this. You can use the chat box again for this. So what can you say about the first one and the second one? So the first one, it says here it has no hierarchy or limit. It has maybe limited, and then the other one it has great hierarchy. Too cramped up, correct? Second is better. Yeah, second is way too better. All right. Now, yeah, for the first one, I would agree with you guys. Like, it's too wordy. Like, you don't know where to focus. Like, if I am the audience and I'll be looking at this design, or if it's design is included in the presentation, I wouldn't know where to focus because it has a lot of text on it. Like, it's not really, it doesn't have hierarchy, right? Versus the second one. The second one, you would already know that they have an all-day library day, that they are open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the ground floor Lamford University. That you can visit them on October 13 and borrow a book or two. Their library is wheelchair accessible, and then Lamford University Library, right? Do you agree? Yeah. Now, other things that you also need to consider in choosing, I mean, when it comes to designs with heavy text, is like if you want your layout to be centered, just make sure that it has 2 or 3 lines of text. And then if you also want to have an image or an element on it, Just make sure that the element is also as aligned to the center perfectly. Now with Canva, you don't need to worry about the alignment because there is like you could activate or you could turn on the margin ruler on your canvas. Now, for more text, create a left aligned so that it's better or it's easy for your audience to read the text, right? Okay. Now, the other way of doing it also for a hierarchy, if you have, again, if you have a text design, you could go with weight. So what they did here is that the word stands out is in bold. You could also go with color by highlighting it with an accent color. So in this case, it's yellow. And then you could also go with size. The word stands out. I mean, the font size is bigger than the other. Or you could go with all three. So this is in bold, highlighted in yellow, and the font size is bigger than the other. All right. Now, hold on. Can you show us how? Sure. Hold on. So let's say this is your canvas. So what you can do is just click on file, all right? Click on show ruler. There you go. Or show margins. There. Let's change the, hold on. Let's change the color back to, there. This is the margin. All right? There. Now, in creating a design with text and image or element combination, you should embrace the clear space, right? So look at how they did it here. So imagine if this text is on top of this image, right? You wouldn't able to read it. Same with the other. So this is one way of doing it by considering or by embracing the clear space. The other way of doing it is by contrasting text. So this, so as you can see, it's an image and text combination of design. So on the first one, what they did is that they put in a border, a color, like a color background. So instead of like going with like full color, so what they did is that they adjusted the transparency so that you would still be able to see the background image, right? And then the other three samples, so you can also choose in creating a design with font and text combination. Then that's it for creating a design or creating a graphic design. Again, we have text, color, image, and layout. So these are the four things that you need to consider in creating a design. All right. Now, I'm sure that most of you are excited here on our next topic too. So let's go to the second part, which is presentations to impress. Now, a little question for you guys here. Why do you think or why do presentations need to be impressive? You can type in your answer on the chat. So it doesn't necessarily mean impressive. It could be any other adjective like persuasive. Like, why do presentations need to be convincing, engaging, or good? Uh-huh. To attract your audience. Uh-huh. Engaging, create impact, uh-huh. Attract attention. Yeah, nice input here. Inputs here, guys. To attract audience. Correct. Now, the 2% is to communicate, and to communicate is human. So just think of it that whenever we present, we wish to educate, reflect, and connect. That's why each presentation, each opportunity to connect should be done impressively. That's why we should not settle for anything less, right? So, for example, if you're going to share a good story to your friend, you want it to be impressive, right? So that's how you should also be doing it in creating your presentations or in presenting. In creating presentations for your design, there are four elements as well that you need to consider. So we have visuals, we have story, we have delivery, and strategy. Now we will be focusing on this two, which is visual or the design elements applied in your slides, and the story, which will be discussing the storytelling principle and structure later on. Okay. Now, design and visual. So it is really important, especially now that we are living in a visual society, right? Especially because of the pandemic itself. So whether we like it or not, or admit it or not, we tuned in more to well-designed presentations. So that's why in creating an impressive presentation, you have to think like a designer, because design is a creative way of communicating, or it is yeah, design is a creative way of communicating. So if you have a designer or a graphic designer friend, you can ask them like why, how do they create their designs. So I did, and they told me that in creating a design, everything should be deliberate and it should serve a purpose. What do I mean by that? So let's say on this slide, so there should be a purpose why we put in this text here, or why we put in this element here. So same with your presentation, you have to think of the purpose, why the slide is better. I mean, why you can discuss this slide on, like, why you put it in the second slide or the third slide or the fourth slide, right? And also that is why in creating an engaging presentation, you have to consider the actual design of your slides, right? Now, a little review here. We've discussed earlier, or we now know that these four elements are what we need to consider in creating a design, right? Now, I'm gonna check what we have learned on the previous topic. So, using color. Again, you can type in your answer on the chat box below. So, question is that complement of colors and using difference of lighting is called what? A, color wheel. B, color contrast. C, color palette. D, color picker. All right. I'm seeing a lot of letter B, color contrast. Mhm. Cool. So if you answered letter B, color contrast, you guys are correct. So yeah, I'm proud of myself. You learned something from me. All right. Now, so again, contrast, it controls the focus on your design, right? I'm gonna show you an example, and I want to know what do you think about this slide. Mhm. Cringy, dull, poor, no contrast, right? Two washed out colors. Yeah, nice. A lot of responses. Thank you guys for being so engaging for this webinar. Really appreciate it. There. How about this one? What can you say about this? Yeah. So I guess we all agree that this one is better, right? Because of the color contrast. So again, color contrast is very important in creating your presentations too, because you don't want to overwhelm your audience with like a poorly created slide, like slides with a lot of colors, not enough balance of colors, because it's like what you mentioned, it's cringy, like it's not pleasing to the eyes, right? Now, another way, or another thing that you need to consider in creating your presentation is the background, right? So we have two here. So additional color tips, like for colors or for the color of the background of your slides, we have dark and we have light background. So for dark background, it is relaxing to the eyes of your audience, and it will help your audience to focus on the content or the text or the image on your slides. So if you want, in cases like you want your presentation wherein one of the slides would have a lot of text or an important topic or important information, I would suggest going with dark background, because yeah, it says here light background still focus from you, which is the presenter. And here are some good examples I could go with. So blue, dark blue, then the other colors. All right. Now let's go with light background. So light background, this is uh like you can use this when it comes to uh transitions of your slide, because other than that light background, it is ideal to use for presentations with a lot of slides. Again, you could use this as a transition slide. So by having light background, it will catch your audience attention, or it will serve as a like as a cue, or they would already know that you are on to the next topic, that you are discussing a different topic, right? That's why, again, it's better to use it as a transition slide. So it's like a refresher to your audience eyes, right? And here are some of the examples. So there. Now let's go to text. So choose the right text on your presentation, because readability is important. If no one can read your slides, what's the point of adding text to it, right? So text also can help signify the tone and the mood you want to set in your audience, right? Now, a little knowledge check here. So the following are examples of what? A, font pairing. B, font and back. I hope no one answers this. And then C, font serif. And then D, font family. Right. So I'm seeing a lot of letter D's. So if you answer letter D, you guys are correct. Font family. So, yeah, I'm so proud of myself. So font family, it helps with consistency and hierarchy, and your design would look neat. So again, if you don't know what font goes better with what, it's safe. The safest bet is to refer to font family, right? And it's also important, like for additional font tip here, for accessibility of your audience, especially if you have a lot of word slides. So you have for your body or the text that you want to highlight on your presentation, it has to be 30 plus text. And then per footnote, it has to be a minimum of 24 text. All right. Now I'm going to show you an example here. There. So can you tell me, guys, what you can say about this slide? Mhm. All right. So it says here the art of floral, introduction to arranging. So basically, to sum it up, this is about flower arrangement. So they are saying that one way of doing it is by using a cabana, right? What can you say about this? Mhm. I like that word. It says here precise. So that's how you would want to do it, right? In creating a presentation, you don't need to overwhelm your audience with a lot of text, because I mean, they will not focus on it, definitely, right? So this is the way of doing it, like summarizing it up to the text or the phrase that you want your audience to focus on. And what you can do for the other sentences here or other information that you removed, you can use that as a talking points while you are discussing the slide, right? So let's say you're talking about the cabana, and then you would tell them that it is steeped in the philosophy of developing closeness with nature. So yeah, you could use this as your talking points while explaining the slide. Another example here. Yeah, tell me, what do you think about this slide? Mhm. Minimalist, correct? Looks good to me. Ooh, punchy, bright color, clear to mind. Uh-huh. That's good. It is actually I'm not gonna say that this is a bad slide, but there is a better way of doing it. So, but just by looking at it, you would say that 98% increase in engagement. Yeah, it's a good thing. Can see what is the main topic. Correct. Now, what can you say about this? Social media relationships, 98% increase in engagement. Impactful. Yeah, I like that word. Eye catching. Correct. Yeah, I would just like to point it out. So calls your attention to the 98%. Yeah, that's very good because with this one, you want your audience to focus on the 98%, especially like if this is a proposal to your boss, like what do you call this? Your performance for the last or the previous season or previous year, you would want your boss to focus on the increase, right? So you want to highlight the 98%, and just by doing it, your boss's focus or your audience focus would already be on the 98%, correct? And then the other things again that you removed on this, you could use that as the talking points while you are discussing or while you are presenting this slide, right? Those extra words can be spoken rather than written. Nice. That's good. All right. Now, another knowledge check here. So it says here, show, don't tell. So this is under imagery and graphics. Question is, which is not an example of proper use of imagery and graphics? We have letter A, overlaying a photo with a paragraph of text. B, utilizing clear space. C, turning words into diagrams. C, using contrast in text. All right. Letter A's. If you answered A, that's correct. So remember, if you overlay a photo with a paragraph of text, a designer somewhere cries when you do this or when they see your design. It's like it's graphic design death. Right? Now, I want you to look at this example. Now, it's all about bees. So it says here, bees are wonderful, and here's why. What can you say about this slide? No, it hurts my eyes. It does, right? So yeah, but we have to all admit that at some point of our life we did this, right? Like I would admit that time when Canva still is not around, I did this like college presentation, high school presentation, reporting, college time. Yeah. No. Someone asked, did you do this on Canva? Definitely no. How about this next example? Yikes. Oh, I did this too. Oh my God. Yeah, we didn't, right? We all did that. So these are the things that we want to avoid, right? So imagine if you'll be the audience of this, I mean, of a presentation or of a webinar, and your presenter or your host would show you this slide. So you wouldn't really know like what do I do with this? Like it's a lot of words. You can even read it. Accessibility or readability is not there. Not for reading purposes, correct, Roxanne? All right. Now I'm gonna show you another example here. What can you say about this slide then? I cringe when I see my old presentation or old slides. Me too. Wordy, huh? Too much details, too much text, boring, dull, wordy. You're correct. Actually, this slide isn't bad itself. Like it's just missing something. And I'm gonna show you a better way of doing it. What can you say about this? Nice, better. Whoa. Yeah. So this is also the things that you need to consider in creating an engaging presentation, the mix and matching of text and imagery. And that is why image is also important. Like it could add the spice in your presentation, right? It wouldn't look boring. Good bit size, info, and image. Other way of doing it is by going with this. So with this illustration, you would know the health benefits of watermelon, right? See, I love your reactions. I like this one better, but it doesn't stop there. There's another way of doing it better. How about this? See, that's a difference, right? So it would your presentation will be engaging, I would say, right? Love this. Wow, engaging. You guys are correct. Correct. I'm crying. No, please don't cry. All right. I'm gonna also show you another good example of a layout with good hierarchy, good contrast for text, and good combination of image and text. It seems like a 4D presentation. Nice. I'm gonna apply this. Yes. Now, this is the slide that I'm talking about. See? So this slide, it has, I would say, a great hierarchy and font and image combination, or text and image combination of design. So as you can see, there's a text here, which is just the right enough amount of text. And then for the audience to be able to read this, they put in like a background. At the same time, they embrace the clear space by not really covering the entire image. And you, just by the image itself, you would know the message of this slide, right? Artsy fartsy element in the corner. Yes. It's another way of doing it to make it engaging or appealing to your audience eyes, right? Now, another knowledge check here. This is for layouts. Just to check what we have learned on the previous, or the first part of our webinar. So it says here consistency is cool. Question is, which text do we usually read first? A, ones that have bigger font sizes. B, ones that are small and italicized. C, ones that have the same color as the background. D, ones that look like the other text. Letter A. We have a winner here, unanimous. All right. So if you answered letter A, ones that have bigger font size, you guys are correct. So yeah, in creating your design, if you want your audience to focus on something, um, we can go back to what we have learned, that you could consider the size, the weight, the color, or it could be a combination of all three. All right. And for layout, this is a very good tip that we could give you. Like if you are already done with all your slides in your presentation, at the end, make sure to check your flow, because it's really good to have like a bird's eye view of all the slides that you did, because just by looking at it, you would already know if you chose a background that is not like it doesn't go well with other slides, right? Or if you could see like four slides with a lot of text on it, so it might be boring for your audience, so you might want to insert an element like in the middle of those four slides, or a slide with the light background, just to make sure that your audience will still, I mean, are still listening, or if you still have the attention of your audience, right? Cohesive. Yeah, correct. Now, we're done with the thinking like a designer part when it comes to creating an engaging or an impressive presentation. Let's go to the second part, which is tell your story. We mentioned that design is empowering. So in telling your story, people might say or might feel that they don't have a story to tell. But as you may know, we all have stories to tell. What we are actually concerned about is that no one will listen to your story, correct? And we are here to change that. So to create an impressive presentation, aside from thinking like a designer, you should think like a storyteller. All right. Again, we already done with thinking like a designer. This time in creating an engaging or impressive presentation, we have to think like a designer. So stories are the currency of human contact, as what is mentioned by Robert McKee. So presenting is to be human. So much of how we communicate, we remember how we make sense of things, we tell or share it through stories, right? So in creating or in a good story, there are two elements. So first is stories feature transformations. So when people hear a story, they root for the protagonist as they overcome obstacle. So like for superhero movies, they start the story by how the protagonist starts from being bullied. They learned how to stand up for himself, then conflict, and then finally victory. So that's the first element. Second element will be stories have a clear structure. So again, a great narrative and a compelling plot defines a good story. So in this case, it defines a great presentation, right? Now, in presenting, it is also important to add emotional texture because we don't want to like if you're presenting, you're just stating facts, 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 and then it doesn't really have an effect to your audience. Like they wouldn't at some point they might not be able to relate to it, right? So what you can do is that you could include personal anecdotes or your personal experiences. So something that your audience would relate to, right? That is one way of doing it by making your presentation engaging, right? Also, you could go with shocking statistics. So with those information, it would tickle your audience's mind to what your topic is about. So it would make them interested, right? It will make them listen to your design. So these little textures, it will help create dimensions to your presentation. So like our superhero story, the texture will be the adventures that your hero is going to take, right? So basically, we all know that great storytellers build worlds. So in creating a presentation, you might want to create a world of your like between you and your audience to make sure that you have that connection. They'll be relating to what you're discussing, and they would listen to you. All right. Now, this is a traditional story plot. So think of your favorite stories or TV shows, books, or movies, right? So we have the setup, confrontation, and resolution. So they get us excited or hooked on what's going to happen next. So we want to be able to translate that to how we present as well. So with setup, like this is the background of the hero, and then confrontation is where the conflict happens. Like it says here, false hope. So if I mean on the for your favorite TV shows or movies, we all know that after the character development, the hero, it seems that the hero would actually be resolving the story, but then after that there will be a conflict again. So that's how you create texture. So it's actually like false hope. That's how they do it. And then at the end, resolution. So this is where you would know if the story, I mean, if the hero succeeds or if if they fail. Same with your presentation. So at the end, you might want to check with your audience if they learned something or if your presentation had an impact to them, right? Now, let's break this down. So this is a sparkline story plot. So sparklines are a way of mapping presentation structures. So it says here by graphic designer Nancy Duarte, the very best features succeed because they contrast our ordinary world with an ideal improved world. They compare what is and what could be. Also, she said that it is powerless if you stays inside of you, and how it gets presented and communicate matters a lot when it comes to your stories. And again, this create a contrast to your stories as well. So you have to compare what is and what could be. So this is good for like inspiring our audience to action or challenging them after the presentation. Or it would make them very interested to your presentation that they will ask for follow-up, right? So if we have any nonprofit groups here, this is very useful uh, for our like inspirational presentation or self-help presentations. There's always a strong advocacy that we want people to get on board. Like, so on this example, you might think that the hero is the presenter, but it's not. It's actually the audience who's the hero of your idea of what you're gonna be presenting, right? So Um, let's break this down. So for the Sparkline story plot, we have to craft the beginning. So beginning is like what is. What is like what I've mentioned is the history or events that brought up to this point. So it gives the audience the situation or the current reality of what is happening in the story, right? And then we have what could be. So what could be is the motivation of your hero, in this case your audience, to take on the adventure. So it gives the realization that they can change their reality, or this is where you share your big ideas to them, like what I've said earlier, like sharing your personal experiences. That is why this makes the story worth tuning into, right? So if we're gonna relate that to your presentation, if you crafted the beginning, if you have a very good craft of the beginning, you would keep your audience all throughout the presentation, right? And then develop the middle. So play up with the contrast on your presentation. So at this point, people should be nodding their heads, or in case in our virtual presentation, your audience will be typing in yes or I understand, or will be responding to you if you ask any questions. So again, people should be nodding or responding to in recognition to what you are asking them or what you are discussing them, because you're articulating what they already understand, right? So it's a way of checking if you and your audience are still on the same page, if they're understanding, if like if you're too fast, you would ask them if you ask them if they think you're going too fast, so you will be on the same page as your audience. So again, because it creates a bond between you and your audience and opens them up to hear ideas for change as well. All right. Now, make the ending powerful. So in creating a powerful ending, you could go with either leaving a quote or leaving a question or a challenge that will make them think about the topic even after you are done. So something that they could think about, they could ask right after your presentation, challenging them or leaving a question or leaving a quote. All right. Now, this is a summary. So again, you have to craft the beginning, the what is and what could be, the middle, which is like the contrast or call to adventure of your presentation, and creating powerful ending. Now, again, in creating an impressive presentation, aside from thinking like a designer, again, you have to think like a storyteller. So that's one way of doing it, to make your audience interested, to make sure that they'll still be listening to your presentation. So it goes hand in hand, the design of your presentation and how you present it. All right. So the future isn't a place that we're going to go. It's a place that you get to create. So again, remember that presentations inspire human connection. It also inspires an action. And a truly impressive presentations are when ideas are shared and stories are told. All right. Now, we are at the end of our presentation. I'll be asking you guys if you have any questions. You can type that in on the Q&A box. So Jess and I will be answering it for you.
Is there any way for me to find a set of illustrations in Canva rather than in a specific template? Yep, absolutely. I mean, you can go into elements and you can search for any set of illustrations. You could search for flowers or emojis or furniture. Absolutely. You just pop in there to elements. And there you go, a specific category of illustrations. And you've got lots of ways to sort those as well. You've got some suggestions there for Mother's Day or ones with hearts or all these other related suggestions as well. Or you can see the little sliders next to the X there. Yeah, and you can actually say, you know, do you want it to be animated? Do you want it to be free or pro? So you've got lots of options there. So Roxanne asked if there's going to be an option for layers in future versions of Canva. So that we already have the ability to send things to the front and back. If you overlap a couple of things, Midas, can you show how you can change the position of something? You just go up to the position and you can say send forward or send backward. So there are actually layers. You can do that now. How did you get the ruler? Can you show how to get the ruler, Midas?
Sure, definitely. So actually it's already turned on, but one way of doing it, I mean, the way of doing it is by clicking on file and then click on show ruler, show margin, or you could also click on show guides.
Lovely. Quick question here. I like the way Midas presented the quiz or multiple choice questions part of his presentation. Could he tell us how he did the highlighting of the correct answer? You got to reveal your secrets here, Midas.
Sure. So actually, I don't have that available now. But what you can do, let's say for example, like you have a lot of, let's say these are the choices. So what you can do is that for this you have to highlight it and then change the transparency. So that's what I did. So I adjusted the transparency of the other, I mean, of the incorrect answers, and just like I left the correct answer with just 100% transparency. So that's how I did it. Double click it and then click on this icon, transparency, and then yeah, just adjust it. All right.
Lovely. Midas, you are awesome. You're getting in the chat. You indeed gave it a Midas touch. That's a nice one. I like that one. Hannah asks, is there an option of removing the background in Canva? So I wonder if you could just show us background remover, Midas.
Sure. Definitely. Hold on. Let me insert a slide here. All right. So let's say I'll be using an uploaded image, right? So I'll go with this and then click the image itself for the effects button to appear. So just click it and then click on background remover. So just wait for it to load. And the background remover, by the way, is a feature that is included in Canva Pro subscription. So if you are on a free version, you are not going to see that option. So there you go. So it's as easy as that. So one click away. So
that
yeah,
is
what I do is that with my friends, like I use this so that I could like play around with their pictures, put them everywhere, like have them sit down on something, things like that.
It's like that Bernie Sanders meme, isn't it? Put Bernie Sanders
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
at the North Pole or wherever. That's how he could do it, remove his background. Okay, anything else you wanted to add, Midas? That was a great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. So yeah, if you have any further questions, you could go to our. Oh, hold on. Before that, maybe you could discuss this, Jess. Like you're the best person to discuss this.
Yep, sure. Absolutely. So this is the Canva Space website. So this is a Canva Space webinar, home of online workshops and webinars for you, our Canva community. And we have new content coming up every single month. So pop to this website, canva.com/Canva-space. And at the top there, there's see event schedule. And you'll see all of the webinars coming up for the next month or so. And you can book into any of them that you will find useful. So definitely check that out. And there's some more resources as well. If we want to go here, we also have a community for our Canva users called Canva Design Circle. So it's currently on Facebook. It is facebook.com/groups/Canva Design Circle. And I recommend going and joining that if you love Canva and you love hearing about new tips and tricks. People share their designs on there. It's a really supportive community, and they share designs that they've made in Canva and ask for feedback and things like that. And often new releases are announced on there and things like that. So it's a great place to go to get Canva info. Now I'm just seeing if I have got the link. Here we go, the link to that group, which I'm going to put in the chat right now. There we go. So if you'd like to join the Design Circle, click on that link and come and join us. All right. I think there's one more thing I'm going to ask of you after this slide, which is for a bit of feedback. So we love hearing from you, and we're always happy to hear your ideas on courses that you would like to see. So have your say. This is a 1-minute form. We'd really appreciate it if you could just jump on there and give us some feedback. Well, that's it from me. Any more from you, Midas?
That's it for me too. Like if you have any other questions or follow-up questions regarding Canva, how to use it, you could go to our Facebook page, which is Canva. Just search Canva. And yeah, you could send them a DM or send them a message. Our community team will be able to answer, and we'll be very happy to assist with whatever concerns that you have with Canva.
Yeah, absolutely. Good tip. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you at a future Canva Space webinar. And thanks again, Midas, for a really fantastic session. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the day.